right. Oh, hey, Empress Daisy's already in here. I didn't even realize. All right. Hey, everyone. Let me go ahead and try and get my everyone. Let me go ahead and get my situation situated here so I can comment if I need to. But all right. And let me also post this for those trying to get in. All right. All right. So as usual, before I even start talking, I just want to ask for anyone that is in the chat how y'all have been doing this week or the past couple weeks as we're coming into this full moon in Taurus. And I guess I'll start with myself, which first off, my glasses are broken, if you can see. So while I'm waiting for my new glasses to come in, this is how it's been. So if I turn and you see my glasses, you can laugh, but this is how we're going for now. Otherwise, I am pretty much legally blind. So let me try and work it out like this. But oh, I made it out alive of all of this 12th house energy. My God. Oh, yeah, dude. It's funny that you even say that, Empress, because all of this has been going on in my 12th house. Venus is in my 12th house right now. Well, because I'm a Scorpio rising. So all of this scorpionic energy and plutonic energy that's moving into Scorpio is moving into my actual 12th house too. So I wish I could sit here and be like, oh, I feel like it's over. I know that it's not necessarily over, but learning how to deal with it or learning how to navigate has been making it much, much easier because I feel like I know what's taking place or I'm able to really kind of detach a lot more, which is, I guess, ultimately what I wanted to talk about today, not about completely detaching ourselves from people, but really more so detaching ourselves from the story because I feel it's when we wrap ourselves up in the story where our ego takes us on the ride, on the journey of what it is that the ego thinks is going on, when really oftentimes that's not really what's taking place, but our own emotions and our karma and everything that is really still sitting within us kind of leads the story instead of our spirit, which is saying, no, I'm trying to show you a different side of the story. I'm trying to show you, or not even just a different side, but the truth behind what's going on. What is it that I'm trying to show you? And whenever I say I'm really talking about, our higher self, our multidimensional self, whatever it is that term that works for you. I don't really use higher self, just more so just our inner knowing. We're really developing and fine tuning also at the same time our discernment because as I have been talking about, it's easy to have a bunch of knowledge and it's easy to see oh, well, this person says that I should do this or this person says that I should do that when this happens. And we're really having to learn the discernment of, okay, well, is this an obstacle through which I'm able to transcend, that I'm actually able supposed to work through, or is this really a block that's ultimately theirs to guide me back where I'm supposed to be? And trying to discern those differences and trying to find our way in the dark can be very, again, nuanced and complex because to say, okay, someone is disrespecting you or not treating you right, okay, obviously that relationship needs to be reanalyzed or really reviewed. And how to review that relationship is honestly the hard part. The hard part of knowing what is it that we're looking for, what is it that we're trying to discern. And that's really all about this Scorpio energy. It's shadow dancing. We're learning to really work with our shadows and, not just run away from it. Scorpio season, as I've been saying, is your, devil's advocate or the demons essentially knocking on your door for Thanksgiving because they are a part of you. So they're here to kind of sit down with you because like I just said, like in Thanksgiving, you know how you have relatives that like maybe you don't necessarily get along with, but they're still family, and so they're all having to come together to kind of intermingle and do that whole kind of dance of okay, we're all family. And that's kind of what I even feel here with this Scorpio season slash white dog season of unconditional love. So that's ultimately what I want to talk about, is like learning how to work with projection, as opposed to again being this like, oh, I'm wanting only the light, oh, I'm only wanting things that are going to show me this. It's really about working with what is already in our environment, what is it that's already interacting with us, so that we're able to move to that next level or whatever. Because I feel we can get really caught up in this like law of attraction talk of how we think, well, we just have to think it or we just have to believe it, and that's how it works. But we're able to work with the signs that we're already getting, which I've been talking about, to really get to the heart of what is it that's really irritating us. So, what I want to talk about is projection. Like, what is projection? And like determining the difference between like when we project our emotions and we're not really conscious of it, and the difference between being able to view that situation and really connect more to the silent witness of ourselves that's able to receive more of the information of what's taking place, as opposed to projecting all of the extra information to put the story together. So, for example, just to kind of make a little more sense, just taking someone on the news, something happens and someone does something on the news. Let's say I don't know, what just came to mind. Someone was drunk driving, right? And they get a ticket or whatever, they have a DUI, and you see them on the TV. So one way that we can project is when we see that story, or we see that sort of event or circumstance. What we may see is, if we're projecting some sort of emotion, being like, oh wow, he was so dumb to do that. Why would he do something like that? You ruin your life when you do things like that. Or you're going to ruin other people's lives when you do that. Why would you be so stupid? When we say things like that, when we feel those sorts of emotions, it's not to say that you shouldn't feel that way, but that is a projection. That's a part of you that is mirroring and showing you something that is not resonating with you. And really being able to get to the root of why is how we're able to see if that is something that we want to hold on to, that's something that is serving us, or it's something that we want to, not necessarily get rid of, but something that we wish to essentially dissolve or essentially release from our ego, release from the story that we tell ourselves. So, like, some of the things that we're telling ourselves now, especially with this season of like relationships, right? Because whenever we even think about like Libra and Scorpio, or just the very like basic level, people think of relationships, they think of sex, they think of that sort of energetic intermingling that happens with sex, where you create bonds, where you create essentially social contracts with each other. That's really what that Libra and Scorpio energy is essentially about, us creating these sort of contracts or these sort of bonds with each other, and able to transform and able to change or create some sort of, again, some sort of significant shedding. And that's what I feel is taking place right now. So we can look at the relationships in our lives currently, and not just the relationships as far as like romantic, but just any sort of bonds or any sort of connections that we have with people, or with a collection of people, like a party of people, any sort of common or constant sort of trigger or irritation. We can start to, focus in on those things and really be able to look at the root of them, so that we're able to essentially release ourselves of the suffering that comes from us having that trigger point, because that's really what they're there for. It's us to look at, the same way we get an illness, the same way we get some sort of physical ailment that forces us to look at what's taking place. That's essentially the same thing that the psyche does when we have, shadow aspects, when we have demonic entities, things like that. These are parts of us that are essentially, refused or repressed or silenced, ignored in some way. And so I guess this is also a way for me to try and also fold in again how I've been talking about us honoring the dark feminine. And this is again about us not just honoring our shadows, honoring our righteous anger, but again, there's having to really not necessarily just completely change our perspective as far as like, oh, everyone's my friend, or even someone that irritates me. Oh, it's not necessarily to be so flowery and so like, as the peace dealer would say, fish tart. But it's really for us to, again, as I've been saying, try and remove ourselves enough from the story so that we're able to come in a more neutral space to really be able to see something from a more, again, neutral point of view and able to receive that sort of inspirational insight or clarity or what have you about that circumstance or person or, again, whatever it is that is commonly triggering us. So, there were some notes I did take. I just want to make sure that I'm not moving past anything or whatever before I go on to anything else. But yeah, so just how I've been saying, essentially we're learning to glean the truth from under, that's underneath our thoughts, underneath all the things that we constantly are feeling, that pulls at us. And I guess it's easy for me to talk about something that I've been going through personally, through all of this. And one of my things I've been going through that I am really certain most people are also going through is really learning this give and take between relationships, learning how to receive as well as giving to other people. Really not in a certain level of tit for tat, because that is really what I feel is even something we're learning to release. Or, those of us that are willing to be courageous to even look at our relationship dynamics or look at the way we view relationships, especially when it comes for that tit for tat thing, because there's something that we've ultimately been told all the time, which isn't wrong or right or anything, but that we treat others how we wish to be treated, right? And so, with that underlying statement, is this feeling or this knowing that we want to treat other people well. We want to treat other people the way that we wish to be received. But what happens along the way, of course, is people don't treat us the way that we treat them all the time. Or, things are not always reciprocated so perfectly and neatly. And so, I know, at least for myself, what I've been in the struggle of is really learning, is there an issue with me needing to not give so much? Am I, this was where I'm having to acknowledge even the victimhood part of me that wants to be like, oh, all I do is give, and I don't get anything back. And, really having to acknowledge like those sort of victim consciousness ideals and beliefs and concepts. And so, speaking with this specific example, and how I would try and really work through how to get to really the root of the issue here. And one of the things I try to, like, is this actually true? Is this something I'm just telling myself, or is it true? And of course, our mind will quickly be like, well, of course that's true. Of course that's true. And we're able to, our mind is able to take anything truthfully and be able to make it a truth. And that's kind of that aspect of Gemini, of being able to take the truth and even be able to warp it and be able to create these false illusions and false truths. And so with that being part of this shadow aspect of us really not being able to see things well, which is essentially having those rose colored glasses. We're not able to really perceive things from the full perspective. So, in my example, and where I feel like maybe I'm just giving and giving and giving and giving, there's parts of me where I'm having to acknowledge, well, what is it that I deem as something that is a giving? Like, what is it that I deem as an action that means someone's giving to me? I'm having to relook the ways in which I am accepting of help and of assistance, because maybe I'm thinking and expecting help to be in a certain way, and then actually I am getting a lot of help in other ways, and just because I'm not getting every single piece of my desires met, we can feel some sort of agitation or feel some sort of like, well, am I not valuable because I'm not getting everything I desire, because I'm not getting everything it is that I feel that I deserve? there is this level of having to look deeper of, okay, well, what is it that you think that you deserve? What is it that you think that it is that you believe you have a right to? And all of it, again, it really comes to this feeling of entitlement, feeling of wanting to control the situation, wanting to control the journey, wanting to control how other people are going to react, and really not wanting to look at ourselves, not wanting to acknowledge the ways in, not necessarily how we're wrong or how we are bad people necessarily. It's not about putting us in a box of, well, this person's a good person and this one's a bad. It's all about erasing essentially those boxes of someone being a good person and someone being a bad person, and acknowledging that in relationships, people are going to play all the parts, people are going to hurt each other. And people, and we say this all the time, right? That the people that we love the most hurt us the most oftentimes too, because of that connection. And so that's often, I feel, what keeps us from really wanting to delve deep and get really linked into many of our relationships, or even really being able to look past the physical, the matter that's taking place here, because it's easy to get caught up in the harm that's taking place in this particular moment. But when we're able to not just take ourselves a little bit outside of that moment in space and time, but really able to just kind of take yourself into more of this void space of acknowledging even the ways in which we maybe have been hurting people, or not just this, but really allowing ourselves to even see what it is that we're learning even about ourselves. And so oftentimes it's what it is that we're completely like negating, what it is that we're completely swearing other people do, but we don't do. It's those things that are usually the things that we do, that we actually do, and it's the things that we actually are needing to take a look at, because it's the things that we swear that we're so light and bright and perfect, and that's where we often have the most shadow, because again, not acknowledging the dark or the ways in which we are, quote unquote, flawed, if that's a way that you want to go with it, is not truthful, and it's not honoring and respectful to source, to all that is. So essentially what I want to even add to this at the end of this is really nurturing ourselves, allowing ourselves the space to pout and throw our fits, if we need to, because it's not to say, oh, we should be very saintly and be able to be calm in the midst of our storms, because again, like, there is an integration taking place here of, we're allowed to be human. We're allowed to be in this experience and make mistakes, and allowed to be like, okay, I missed the mark there. Let me kind of relook at it. The whole part of this is being able to integrate the newness, the unconditional love that we're learning, the divine willpower that we're integrating as well. It's not about a complete like cutting off of our humanness, of not allowing ourselves to feel, because that is essentially, again, what pushes stuff down, creates these shadow aspects that we have to, again, work through and begin to bring back into the family again. So, yeah, I guess basically what I wanted to bring this into is the easiest way that I've been able to think of how we can best work with our relationships, as far as trying to allow everyone to be themselves and allow themselves to have their emotional, outbursts, or have their moments while we're all working through our shadows essentially together. And the way I see this is like kids, honestly, because, and my own kids is what really taught me and really showed me this, because um ultimately, like I've been talking about, it's the fear of the unknown that really keeps, which is creating a lot of the fear of, it's the fear of not knowing, which often keeps us stagnant, or often gets us into that instinctual fight or flight mode of needing to figure out what to do, because you don't have any, real physical tangible evidence that things are going to be okay. So you're in this like fight or flight mode, trying to know how to best maneuver. And so, just like children, or at least just like my children, at least, when they get upset, they're upset. They're not. they're in that present moment. They're not really focused, or at least at the age that my kids are. They're, 3 and 1. They're upset and they're in the present moment. And in this present moment, they're upset. Like my son, he'd just be saying, I'm sad. And it's not about, oh, well, I'm going to get to this later in the future, so I don't have a reason to be sad, or even moving back into the past of, oh, well, before I didn't feel like this, so maybe I need to go back and never do anything new or outside of my comfort zone again. It's allowing ourselves to feel that emotion because it's through, again, these supposedly negative things. And when I say supposedly negative, I mean, because of that connotation that negative means bad. But anyway, I digress. Of us really being able to see what is really at the end of that frustration because we allow the frustration to actually, burn off. We allow it to actually be expressed so that we're able to see it for what it is. So back to the kid analogy, the way that I would see this, or at least with my child, is oftentimes, or at least in the past, the way I have always been taught is, to shush your kid, right? When they're crying, you want them to be quiet as quickly as possible. You want them to calm down as quickly as possible. And in my parenting, I've really had to really unlearn that and really sit with and allow my child to cry, allow him to be upset. And this, whether this is in a way of not giving him everything he absolutely wants and needs, or if it's in a space of, well, he's upset and I can't possibly figure out why he's upset because he can't speak when he's too busy bawling. So that's in the space where I'm allowing him to be upset. I'm allowing the space for, the anger, the frustration, the tantrum, whatever needs to take place so that we're able to calm down whenever, it's been expressed out of our physical body to where we're able to calm down and really get to the root of it. And I really guess to say this specifically, especially for those of us that, at least like me, where that ego cycle, that spin happens so fast. Like, something can trigger and it's just like whoop down on the roller coaster of the story. And it's really having to sometimes let the story go a little bit, only so far as much as you can start to like feel yourself calm down, which I think many of us can kind of resonate with that energy of, when we're upset and we're in the motion of expressing it or burning it off in whatever way that we often do. And in the midst of it you can feel the intensity start to calm down and come down. And that's really what I'm feeling here is allowing ourselves to feel the things, not necessarily like acting or reacting from our old places that we have been, but just sitting in it, allowing ourselves to be in that emotion. Even if that means we've got to go away from people a little bit or whatever it is that we've got to do so that we're able to really sit and allow ourselves to kind of see what's taking place. Or even if not in that moment, you don't have the opportunity, right, to leave. It's really allowing ourselves to not let that get away from us as, something happened to me, oh, woe is me, not letting ourselves get so stuck in that at a certain point where we're comfortable, where we feel enough space in our heart for, again, that wonder of, well, what if, of, well, is that really true? Is that really, am I just thinking that, or is this really a very true fear or obstacle that I'm needing to acknowledge? It's really, again, getting back to that underlying root, which takes revisiting, which takes a certain level of re-acknowledging and re-engaging with that energy, which is the scary part for many of us. Because again, there's always that thought that you're going to get looped back into that circle and not be able to stop it. And so, again, yeah, the best way for me is in not immediately judging our emotions, allowing ourselves to feel those emotions, releasing that notion that dark negative emotions are bad, that they are supposed to be dismissed, that they're supposed to be not something you acknowledge, and getting to how this plays out in our relationships. I feel, again, this is where the art of projection takes place, especially in a relationship or any sort of bond between two people. but especially when both people are feeling something and both people are like, I'm not seeing it, or even many times where both people are feeling the same thing, but they're both sitting in the space of, well, we're both not the bad person here, we're both this victim. And so whatever sort of dynamic the relationship is, and being able to see what it is that the ego thinks, oftentimes it's the reverse that the spirit or the soul is actually wanting you to engage in. So, if there's a boss that you have that is super bossy, that is super like in your face, always telling you what to do. We can see this in different ways, and knowing how this plays out or how this is supposed to really ignite your spirit. Of course, only you can know. But for example, that bossy boss or person could be that shadow to help you to either learn how to be more bossy, learn how to be more affirmative and assertive in your own personal stature. Or it could be one of those blocks that's meant to help you, to direct you onto the path in which you're actually supposed to be on. In whatever way we're able to look at what is happening, maybe not in that moment thank it, but eventually be able to thank it for whatever it is showing us. Or even if we don't see it, we can create the space within ourselves, asking, whatever name that we have for source or God or a higher self or our guides, our angel, whatever name or terminology or belief system, whatever it is that works and resonates with you. You're able to really see or create the space for seeing what needs to be seen, even if you cannot see it. So ultimately, the whole purpose is to help us see that everything is either love or a cry for love. That everything is ultimately either, again, like this outward expression of what it is that we want to see for ourselves, whatever it is that ourselves is wanting to receive or feel, or whatever it is that ourselves is feeling and perceiving and picking up on, and we're able to work through it that way too. So it's really through self observation and through a non judgmental self observation. So, yeah, and this is whether we dislike someone or whether we love them. So, if you admire someone, like you totally love someone, or like especially with celebrities, right? Where we might have an idol or even just someone that inspires us. It's that one seems pretty easy for us to recognize, where that peace that we feel that that person has, that's something that we're wishing to have within ourselves, and it's something that we're wanting to foster and nurture within ourselves. And so whether we completely hate someone or whether we love them, we're able to use that as a directional compass. We're able to, again, these are all ways in which we're able to use the dark as tools, because all of it is tools. It's ultimately all to help us get to where we're going. It's not that angels are there to help you and then supposedly demons are not. Like, they all play a part in the grand story. So, and being able to accept all the parts of the story instead of being like, I only want to accept the parts where I, fly off to be, a magical ruler of my empire. We're having to accept the parts that come into that, building of that empire, the good, bad, and the ugly. And so all of this, again, all I say all of this because we're really, as I've been saying, wanting to explore the foundations of our relationships, discerning the difference between loyalty and whether we are dependent upon that someone because they have a piece that we're wishing for ourselves, or ourself is wishing that we even gave to ourselves. So whether again you see this in your friendships or your romantic partnerships, whatever it is, where we're really acknowledging what our relationships are showing us, learning to look at them a lot differently than just, oh, there's supposed to be this one person that completes me, there's supposed to be this one person that's supposed to be my soulmate. Like, oh, this is deep because it is everything I'm going through. Oh, yeah, like I really feel you on that, Empress Daisy, honestly, which is really because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I really hope that my ultimate, like, uh, I guess not even lesson, because it's not like I'm teaching a lesson, but I what it is I'm trying to get across, I'm really trying to get it across as best as I can, because I feel even as people, because I mean people are breaking up and doing all these kinds of things, and I'm not in anyone's business or whatever, but I guess anytime I try to really talk about this, because during this time, there's a lot of talk of, okay, well, we're releasing people, we're releasing situations, we're releasing, and it's like, it's not just a simple task of releasing, it's understanding why. Because we get so focused on thinking it's the action of doing that creates the change, but honestly, it's the simple conscious awareness that changes everything. It's the simple conscious awareness. And you can even think of this simply whenever you see any sort of time travel TV show or whatever, and they talk about I forget the term that they use, but when they talk about the situation that will happen if like the person from the future and the person from the past interact, or if you mess with the past and you're from the future, how you're going to mess with things because people are aware that you're there, so that awareness changes things. That's exactly how it works. Or I don't say that's exactly, but that's a way in which it works, and where us being able to acknowledge what it is that's taking place underneath everything is what can give us a lot of more peace, because we think that what we want to know is, okay, me and this person are having a fight or whatever. I need to know if I need to cut this person off. I mean, we can get the answer, or we can make that choice and be like, cut that person off. But essentially, what happens, which we ultimately come to know, is that we don't learn the story, we don't clear the level. So, when we're talking about in a game, you end up having to redo it, you end up having to relearn it. And even oftentimes, like in a game, it shows up differently. It has to show up in a different way because you weren't able to really see through it, you weren't able to see it for what it was in that moment or in that time or whatever. And so I feel, especially now with this being so karmic of these, not just changes that we make, but the awareness that we come into makes so much change, not just in this, moment in time, but how it ripples off. I feel, again, we can get caught up in wanting to just quickly make changes, like, oh, I cut this person off and I move here and I quit my job and I do this. We're wanting to make such quick, sudden movements without really understanding, not necessarily needing to know the why, but like we're relearning the nuance of getting in touch with our emotions, of learning, okay, this triggered me, where in the past we may have been told, okay, something triggers you, that means it's not best for you, so you need to move away from it. We're really learning to bring it further together. The separation is dissolving. And I guess this is really beautiful that this is actually today. Scorpio season began, I believe, essentially today, and it's the white spectral mirror in the galactic signature. And so the mirror, again, talks about that, that mirrored ability of just the reality of being able to see what it is that is taking place, and how it is that we create these sort of chain reactions. But not just that, but the spectral speaks of us releasing that mirror, releasing that duality, and really being able to come again further into a higher perspective of understanding, especially in our relationships, because relationships are that main vehicle with which we learn about ourselves, with which we learn, you know, not just about ourselves, but how we learn about obviously other people, but how we all learn how this all interacts and plays together. Even when we see things on the grand stage, which, I mean, many of my opinions about the things that take place on the like social and political arenas would probably be very unpopular. But I see everything, whether it is our personal relationships, whether it's our communal relationships, our global relationships, all of it is mirroring something at a certain level. So even at our, our global level, or countries, our national level of things taking place, these are the nation shadows. These are the world shadows. This is everyone's shadows taking place, all coming out for us to see what it is that we need to see. And this is a time for us to take accountability. It's not about saying, oh, it's all our fault, oh, we are bad people. It's just saying the external mirrors the internal. So, in knowing that, we can take responsibility, which, as I've been saying and expressing, is for me as basic as the ability to respond instead of react, the ability to consciously choose, the ability to consciously create and make a decision as opposed to making your decision based on an unconscious or subconscious behavior or pattern. So yeah, I guess the few last notes I really have about this is, like I've been saying, all of this is about us getting to the bottom of our fear and our lack of trust and our insecurities in that, of us really not feeling safe within our own environments, our relationships, whatever way. And oftentimes it's in our relationships because you can see it in the way that we talk about it, in the way we say, we don't, not necessarily that we don't want to hurt again because that's natural, but in a way where we don't want to engage in relationships as deeply if we get hurt, or this idea that people, don't want to get into marriage or whatever, not because, oh, the whole marriage idea is, a phallus and all these things. And even my perspective on that even changed because I don't think it's necessarily that marriage is wrong. I think it's our perspective, again, our perspective that I feel we're able to change and evolve it. And I guess, and just going into that, because honestly, marriage is, that's a Libra Scorpio topic. And so, even when we talk about marriage, and not just in a legal terms of, two parties legally being united under, our governmental laws or whatever, but the union of things, of there actually being a union, people, I don't just say people. I guess I'll say us, because all of us, we all play a part. We're all accountable. We all want what it is we're not willing to give to other people. We want unconditional appreciation and love and acceptance, and then we're not able to express that or exude that or embody that in our regular experience in everyday life. We're, wanting people to help us when we feel helped, or when we want, when we're seeking help, but then we're creating all these reasons why someone doesn't deserve help or why they don't deserve love. And it just takes a very, I don't even say humble, but it's like the underlying commonality of accepting not just that we're all one in the very like, kumbaya sort of way, but acknowledging that everyone has their own different path, everyone has their own different shadows and battles. That even in acknowledging that we're all connected, and I'm sorry I keep fixing my glasses, but and acknowledging that we all are playing different battles that we all ultimately learn from. We, some person may be battling and dealing with, alcoholism or, drug abuse, things like this, because, and I've, maybe it can sound very, crass to say, but it's like, that person is handling that battle, dealing with that karmic situation, essentially for us all in whatever level or extent that they are. And even when, again, we take people like Hitler, we take someone like Trump, that we feel is essentially playing this part of the person that is doing all these bad things, the person that is harboring all of these negative beliefs about other people, when if we are being completely honest with ourselves, because again, this is about complete honesty. This isn't about this like faux love and light of like, okay, it's, it's narcissist and they're bad, and then there's us light workers. Again, it's just, it's not like that. And even as I've been saying, if you haven't seen it, watch the movie Extinction on Netflix, because it's the first thing that I can think of that, like, I seen it and I watched it and I was like, it's exactly the point where we're having to acknowledge what someone has done to us, we have done to either them or someone else. Like, it's not about saying, it's not the chicken and egg. Like, which is what it feels like. We all want to be like, well, who is it that, did it first? Or who is it that has to be the quote unquote bigger person to exude this new love first? But it's like, we, I don't want to say again that we have to, but if we have the courage to break out of that, if we have the courage to see beyond what is taking place and not in a space again of being like, oh, well, that person just has their issues and I'm just this good old person. But again, acknowledging the ugliness or the parts of us that we don't acknowledge because we're on this path to find our truth and to find, illumination and light. It's even more so important, especially for us, that we understand and acknowledge and honor and integrate these shadow aspects and lessons, because it's through us creating this further separation and illusion that creates these sort of religious situations, like the, I don't know why the name's slipping my mind, but like all of the situations and tragedies that taken place because of sort of religious dogma or whatever it is that we have allowed to be our truth, so that we're able to create some sort of further discrimination with people. And I mean, again, you can see this on any level. You can see this even on the racial level, where there's that thin line between wanting justice and wanting our rights and wanting to actually just be the oppressor. Like, there's this thin line where we're having to really learn and change the way in which we engage with justice, change the way in which we engage with I don't want to say revenge, but the way that we engage with the shadow aspects. Because the way, and again, I guess I can even acknowledge this in the first question I always get asked when people find out about like my astrology placements, and they're like, "Oh, all that Scorpio and Pluto energy. Like, oh, do you do, like these sorts of magics, and do you do this and do you do that?" Or even when I've been asked about exorcisms, and it's like, I mean, I guess depending upon the way you view it, it could be an exorcism, but because I view things more of a transmutation and more of an alchemical process of integrating it, I don't see things as a we're banishing something because that's not of us or that's not of God or of love. Ultimately, if we wanted to kind of separate it even from like the religious terms of this being about love and light, the white dog energy is of understanding that all is love or a call to love. All is love or someone that is seeking love in some sort of way, or they're seeking to fill that void that they have in some sort of way. And it takes a it takes a lot of detachment, I guess, from not just the situation, but from a lot that has taken place in order to really be able to see that in many different ways. Especially when I look at like the global like arena, or even like our national situation and the very divisive energy that is here. We're able, if more of us are able to acknowledge the ways in which the same things that we supposedly don't want to happen to us that we do to other people, regardless of whether we understand their point of view or not, or whether we resonate with it or not, there's a certain understanding of recognizing the validity in their truth while acknowledging what it means for you, and then working through that and what is it that is being shown even for both of you. So yeah, there's just a certain level of patience, a certain level of compassion that is not expressed or even supported or even really pushed into our social climate. We don't really want, I mean, we're doing it in a very like shallow way. I don't feel like we're really acknowledging being truthful about things, or in the ways in which we are not the best people all the time. Even those of us that swear that we're the entire, these glasses, oh my goodness, that we're the victims of everything. And again, my political views on things could get really unpopular about like the ways in which we play the victimhood, and just not being willing to see the ways in which we even perpetuate our victimhood. That's that Eight of Swords card, essentially, in ways we swear it's, everyone outside of us that's keeping us in our circle, when it's our own beliefs, it's our own thoughts of how things are supposed to go, or even our beliefs of how things are actually going, that keep us stagnant, that keep us even stuck in a place of not being able to connect to love or connect with each other in a more genuine way, in a more universal way. So, yeah, I mean, I could kind of go on and on really about this, because I've been kind of going on and on about this with myself personally over the past couple weeks, about how it is that we can best deal, how it is that we can best maneuver through these, what we often have called like the dark nights of the soul, but really they're more like the dark nights of the ego, because it's the ego that's having to kind of, if you look at it, dull its light a little bit, so that the inner light, the inner knowing, the inner authority is able to come through and show it a little bit more of what it wishes to incorporate into this experience for us. So, my glasses keep slipping off, so I'm gonna try and end this pretty soon, or let's just take these off. So, can't exactly see, but what I do want to do is I do want to pull a card for each of the signs, because I don't think I've ever done that, and just would like to give, I guess, a little bit more of a personal message, I guess, for each of the signs before I go ahead and close this with a really quick meditation for the violet flame of transmutation. And not just this, but there's also a practice that I do want to talk about, I guess, while I do shuffle this real quick. And I believe it's a Tonglen practice. I believe it's actually called Tonglen. But it's essentially the practice of us breathing in or taking in this darkness, or whatever it is that we are wishing to transmute within ourselves, and we're able to transmute it and exude it through our body. And this is essentially just another way of transmuting, or really transforming this energy and being able to use it again for our highest good. Because one way to work with it, obviously, is we can, deflect, we can do all these sorts of things, but I think one way that, or at least the way that I do it, which is why I'm sharing it, is being able to breathe it in, breathe it into your own being, so that you're able to receive the, not just the knowledge, but the wisdom that comes from that situation or circumstance or whatnot. So, all right, let's see. Just quick message for Scorpio season for the signs, as always, and we'll start with Aries. All right, so Aries. Message you most need to receive at this time in regards to Scorpio season. Ooh, so if you see there, we've got the death card for you, Aries. So for here, I definitely feel this as a needing to go along with this transformation. Not necessarily go along, but the more that we resist, the more that we attempt to keep the transformation from taking place, the further it creates suffering and pain for us. But not just that, this is just a knowing that you are going through this deep shedding and transformational process that also takes time. This isn't something that can really be rushed. So I feel honestly this is even speaking to something that's been taking place over quite a bit of time, but I feel that there is a completion. Oh, yeah, and even the bottom of the deck, I have this Wheel of Fortune. So I feel there is a change of, not just change of pace, but there's a divine change of your path and your journey that is taking place here. And there's for me, I feel there's a need to relax into the flow. Let it take you where it's going to go, because yeah, just creates further suffering for yourself, and what it is that you truly are wishing will be able to come through this transformation that's taking place. Taurus. The message that you most need to receive at this time. All right. I got the Two of Cups here. So, ooh, and then the bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Swords. So I feel this is about, again, there's a getting in touch. There's a compromise, I feel, taking place either with another party, like another person, or really, I feel, even with yourself, because the way that I see things as, the external is really the internal. So if this is taking place with a sort of other person that you may be needing to meet some sort of truce or compromise where you're able to not just hash it out, but being able to speak your truth from a different perspective or from a different point of view than you have before. Being able to do it, yeah, being able to approach it and being able to get your truth across, I feel, from a more common ground level, from a way of being able to actually compromise instead of just wanting your truth to be heard and then your truth is that's that. I feel there's not necessarily just a reconciliation, but I feel like it's less about reconciliation, but really just being able to just come to the table to have that reconciliation in the first place. And I know I seen some comments. I hope I didn't miss anything that was important before I pull the next card. Oop, I didn't see any. Okay, just want to be sure. All right, so Gemini. Oh, I cannot do it with those glasses on. Gemini. Ooh. All right, Gemini, you've got a card straight out. All right. Ooh. So for you, you've got the Two of Swords, Gemini. And the way I even see this card oftentimes is there's a moving into this more serving truth. There's this space of really not wanting to release the old timeline or the old story. And really what I feel is going to give the push to really move past the not just the old story, but being able to bring in this new sense of truth or inspiration for you is being able to get in touch with that inner spark, that inner flame and inner power. The bottom of the deck I do have here is this Ace of Wands. So here I feel this is about, again, creating the space or allowing the space for you to be ignited by like a Uranian type of energies to move on your inspiration. Because I feel here this is more of this stagnancy, of feeling not sure, of feeling not certain that this is true, of not even feeling certain if you're creating this in your mind, because that feels like a very Gemini thing of not being sure if this is just one of those multitude of ideas or beliefs or if this is really something that is solid for you. So I feel like this is a time where we're really being able to essentially kind of test that out and see that truth for what it truly is for us. And not just that, but really being able to receive a boost of inner passion, inner not just desire. This is moving even out of compulsion into what is really truly felt regardless of what other people are thinking or feeling. So, ooh, Cancer. Message that you most need to receive. Ooh. And that makes a little, that resonates there. So for you, Cancer, we have the High Priestess. So I definitely feel this as a lot of psychic activity taking place. Really being in this emotional and psychic realm of being in, really being even not just between worlds, but there's this ushering in, I feel, of being able to connect with people more psychically and emotionally, and really being able, ooh, all right, with this Queen of Coins too at the bottom, which I'll go ahead and show you there. I feel like there is this a birthing process. I feel it's not necessarily even just a rebirth, but I feel there is this comfort and knowing coming in from yourself. I feel for Cancer. Feel for Cancer, there is a developing of their own emotional security. They're really having to firm their root, really firm their own foundation from their own sense of connection to source, their own sense of connection to their own emotions, and really being able to develop and not just develop but feel into those emotions and what those emotions are telling them. Not just that, but being even able to pick up on people around them. I feel like this could even be about coming into being that sort of nurturing figure or person for others around you, coming into that sort of, again, this high priestess position or energy for yourself. Oop. So, Leo, oop, the message that you most need to receive at this time. Okay, and that card flipped right on out. Ooh, and it was in reverse. So I have this Three of Swords in reverse for Leo. So I do see this as, ooh, okay, beautiful. This does feel like a phoenix rising from the ashes for you, Leo. At the bottom of the deck, I do have this Queen of Wands. And so I feel this again as being able to perceive these wounds and these things that have happened to you in a more empowering way. Being able to not just heal from them, because I often feel this card in reverse can be sort of, this like moving forward of being able to move forward in spite of or despite the things that have happened. But truthfully, I feel like this is more of really being able to see those things that have happened again in a more empowering light, being able to see how it has actually helped you to be more confident in yourself, help you to see how you're able to go through and heal from things that maybe you thought that you never would have been able to before, or maybe in ways heal in ways in which you've never have before, maybe healing in ways that are more healthful for you, or ways that are less destructive for you, or just more loving to yourself. And oh, I know I just seen with my blind self a comment. Oh, red Mars. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And I definitely feel that even too. I have Mars in Leo. So I definitely feel there's really a coming out of the victimhood even for Leo. Really being able to like, it's not even like taking it to the chest, but it's like a knowing like it's not going to break. It's not going to break me. I'm fixed. I'm fixed love. I'm love that is ever going, everlasting, that you can't, you know, fear cannot destroy that which is real, really. That which is not real cannot, break or destroy that which isn't. So, oop, did I see a comment? Yeah, exactly. All right. I did Leo, so now it's time for whoop. Why am I spacing on who's next after Leo? It's Virgo, right? All right, so Virgo. Or I hope I'm. Why am I spacing right now? I hope it's Virgo. Virgo, the message that you most need to receive at this time. Oh, and that one flipped. So, the card that I did get here, a lot of twos here. So I do, again, feel for the overall collective with the fact that a lot of twos are coming up. There is this meeting on common ground. I feel like there's definitely a need of compromise in whatever way or level that this is for us. But specifically for Virgo, with this Two of Coins, I feel here, whenever I see Two of Coins, I don't necessarily view them in like a monetary sort of way and like a monetary investment, but I see this more as a of value, the value that we see within each other, the value that we are willing to perceive within another person. Not just that, but with this three of coins too at the bottom, I do see that as an acknowledgement of being able to build with another person, of even being able to build with someone that complements, maybe someone that doesn't necessarily seem just like you, but you're able to create something new. You're able to create that third, that creation, because of these seemingly opposites. And I don't feel this is necessarily having to be like, oh, these are two completely opposite people. But again, I do feel this level of really being able to meet on a common ground, of being able to not just meet on a common ground, but having a common goal, having a common desire, creation that you have in mind to work together on. So this could even be like a relationship, because again, for me, I don't really see the pinnacles as needing to be about like business or money. I just see it as something of matter, something of worth to us. And so, again, with this being in this relationship sort of energy, this could be in a business sort of partnership. But again, I feel like this has to do more with those that we connect with on a daily, or those that we connect with that are closest to us, that again mean something to us when we're talking again about this value. So for Virgo, I think again, there's this coming, bringing what it is that you have to the table. Again, people bring it to the table to see what it is that they're able to create, being able to make those first steps in creating that new way, creating that new path. Don't know if you can really even see in that card there, but and let me again take these glasses off. Oh man. Whoop. And so we get to, I believe it's Libra now. The message that you most need to receive at this time, Libra. All right, so I actually got two cards. We've got Nine of Cups with the Five of Swords for you, Libra, here. Just so you can see. And Nine of Cups was on top first. So I feel this as wanting to go, wanting to receive what it is that you're desiring, what it is that you've been wishing for this time, but kind of going about it the wrong way. Or not necessarily the wrong way, but feeling like what it is that you want, like you're not going to be able to get it if, you let other people around, or if, like, there's this feeling I feel of like paranoia, of like not being able to get what you want unless you take the control, unless you really hold it away from other people. And then it kind of creates this sort of separation between you and those that you care about, those that you're actually wanting to grow closer to. The way that you can even see like these dragons kind of being down here, and the way that they're really grasping, clinging onto this sword, which in this situation, again, this could be about our truth, our emotional truth, wanting to feel. For Libra, I'm feeling there's like a wanting to feel like the external connections or communications with people, of feeling that sense of having that emotional connection with other people. But I feel here there's kind of this need to actually take charge of our emotions in a more empowering way. I feel here there's a need to go about our situations, especially in terms of communicating with other people, in terms of expressing what it is that we do desire, from not a space of that person keeping you, or these people or whatever it is keeping you away from what it is that you desire. I feel there is the feeling I get from these cards is like that feeling where like, and I guess I kind of relate to it. This where there's this desire, there's this focus of what it is I'm wanting to bring in and I'm wishing to acquire, but I'm so focused on grabbing it that anything that like happens that like seems to like go against me, and the key word here is seems to go against me. There's this immediate like, why are you doing this to keep me from my desires, or how come you weren't thoughtful enough to, there's really just that immediate like offensive or aggressive confrontation of, why am I not receiving what I wish, why am I not getting what I am deserving. And I'm feeling there is an opportunity to really come at this from not necessarily more balanced, but you're able to come through this in a more empowered way, as opposed to feeling like, because at the bottom I do have this chariot. So I feel like this is leading you to go with what your heart is telling you, but I feel there is a possibility of creating harm, or creating some sort of severing, detachments or disconnections between people. And this could either be good, or I don't want to say good or bad, but that could be either one of two ways. Is, going after or speaking your truth, or being honest about what it is that you're desiring, what it is that you're feeling, and coming from your heart space, I feel can create these sorts of, you know, what's the word? What's the word? Not aggravations, but conflicts, I guess. Altercations was the word I was looking for. And I feel here there is an opportunity to really tap into that truth, what it is that you're really holding on to so strongly. Because I feel like here the message is that you already have it, and it's really in acknowledging that you already have it, because what it is that you are hoping for yourself, what it is that you feel like you have to fight so hard to keep away from someone, is actually being like strangled underneath your own hands, if that makes sense. So that was a little bit long, but I hope that that kind of made sense there for you, Libra. Whoa, Scorpio. Cards all over the place. Okay. So, Scorpio, the message that you most need to receive. Keep jumping out. I don't know. Let's shuffle some more. The message that you most need to receive at this time, Scorpio. Take this card. Ooh, so the card that we have for you is Queen of Cups, Scorpio. So I think this speaks to not just the fact that it's Scorpio season, but of us really, again, delving deep into the waters, allowing ourselves to not just get our toes wet, but really what I often feel here with the Queen of Cups is allowing ourselves to, again, delve deep, not afraid to let ourselves get a little wet as we try to really get to the underlying truth. Being able to almost have like an x ray type of vision, as I've been saying, of seeing what's taking place, but really seeing underneath what is it that's really being shown to us. And I feel that this is even, yeah, I feel like this is even in connection to this full moon that we're having, of being able to see what it is that is actually underneath. I feel this could be about, there's this like stark illumination, or um time, or really phase of allowing ourselves to not just like where we're in the feeling, but we're really able to now see things with a more like third eye perception, if that makes any sense. Yeah, of allowing, yeah, really allowing our emotions to come through, allowing the emotions to be felt, but also being able to see through the emotion, if that makes sense. Whereas I feel more so like the King of Cups would be really letting ourselves be in the emotion, or like that Knight of Cups energy of really just kind of being like really fully into the emotion. I feel there's being in touch with the emotion, but being, again, there's a certain level of detachment, I feel, where we're able to see what it is that is being felt outside, or what is really being felt outside of what it is that we are perceiving as being felt, if that makes sense. Like, for an example, when we think that we're mad, when really we are feeling some sort of um, despair or sadness because of not feeling some sort of love or connection, if that makes any sense. That's just an example of the ways in which we can really start to see that underlying truth, especially for Scorpio, with all of this energy and awareness being focused in Scorpio at that. Right, now Sagittarius. All right. And again, for you, Sagittarius, the card that I got for you as well is the Death card. So I actually feel this not necessarily just similar to the Aries, but I actually feel this is more of really this closing time even coming up, as all of this energy is starting to move into Sagittarius. But I also feel this is talking of this transformation, and oh, and that makes sense. Bottom of the deck, we have Temperance, which is that Sagittarius corresponding card. So, yeah, as I had been mentioning how this is for Aries, both having this transformation take place, I definitely feel this for Sagittarius of this deeper integration and really coming into godliness, coming into their God selves, really, of the way that I even feel it is like really low key kind of leaving the human race in a way of just not really really shedding a lot of the, I don't want to say like the human experience, but there's really like a leaving or really a transformation and coming into this higher octave. I guess that's the way I would put it. Higher octave of who you are, especially with this, again, this alchemical process that is taking place, deep within, from a very cellular level for many of us, but especially with those with that high Sagittarius energy or awareness. I feel there's a deeper awareness and knowing of really coming into a brand new story, chapter, arc, not just for yourself, but I feel for even those before you. Like, this is I feel a very, even like generational, just really like in this time, really coming into a brand new ascended embodiment of ourselves. But especially again for you, the Sagittarius, with these cards here. So and even underneath that, I just realized I had the Hanging Dragon. So yeah, through, I feel, a sacrificing or really having to kind of give up these old parts of yourself, which are really the more, I guess, ego or more human like parts of you, really letting those go to come into a more divine, more again, like this higher octave energy or frequency of Sagittarius. And oop, my bad, just missed that one. Yes, on point. Oh, I just realized got some more people. Hi, y'all. I don't have my glasses on because they're broken and they keep on shifting and whatnot. So I apologize if I'm not staying on point with these comments. But thank you guys that have been here or have been here and tuning in. And again, I do want to apologize also because this was supposed to happen yesterday, but things be happening. So yeah, I'm here today, and I'm appreciative for all of y'all that have tuned in or that are tuning in just now or tuning in later. I'm just appreciative and thankful that you guys are allowing this space for me as I, attempt to hold space for y'all too. So we just did Sagittarius. to Capricorn. The message that Capricorn most needs to receive. Let's do that again, actually. All right. And so, I have for you here, Capricorn, the King of Cups. So let me put on my glasses real fast so I can actually look at this card real fast. So yeah, what I feel here actually for this King of Cups is, yeah, and even for confirmation, I have bottom of the deck, the Strength card. So I feel here there is an emotional maturity that is coming through for Capricorn of being not necessarily just more in control of their emotions, but really being, there's a compassionate strength here. And really when we talk about Capricorn, or when many people talk about Capricorn, there's this very like sternness and very hard, like, very firm and a very strict way in which we talk about Capricorn. I mean, we know Capricorn as like the devil card in tarot, and just whenever we talk about Capricorn, it's just very much in this like, like hard and like focused and like teacher, like what have you done, and very, disciplinary, right? But I feel, especially for Capricorn, I feel like there's a softness coming through, and it's not just a vague softness, but I feel there is a deeper sense of sensitivity and compassion that is needed to take place not just with yourself but with other people. I feel there is not just there's the true essence, I feel, of Capricorn really coming out. And Philip Daniel really talked about this. Philip Daniel Miles on YouTube really talked about this. I feel really beautifully about the divine feminine essence of Capricorn really coming out further, of us being able to acknowledge the inherent and innate connection, not just to nature, but to that darker, non-tangible essence. Again, because when you think about Capricorn, again, we think about earth, we think about very groundedness, we think about, structure and government and contracts and things like that. But I feel here, for Capricorn, especially with Pluto and Saturn, all of this Capricorn energy that is actually taking place for us at a very generational and collective level. I feel, again, this is all of us tapping into the emotional in a more conscious way, being able to really be aware of and in tune of not just your emotions, but the emotions of others around you in a more compassionate way, and a more like heartfelt, genuine, honest way. When I think about, I think about Leo, when I think about this Strength card. And again, there's always, or usually, that picture of like a lion and like of a maiden. And I love, again, with the Dragon Tarot, dragons are that essence of the divine feminine. And so here I feel, again, there's this integration of that masculinity, right? That inherent, of structure and of not just value, but of, societal value of, the grand scheme and connection to everyone that takes place in a part of that structure. When you think, again, of governments, and you think of I think of corporations, or just any sort of collective, physical, tangible collective of, that of. I can't even really put to words exactly what I'm trying to say, but I hope that you get what I'm trying to say here with this King of Cups card, of not just tuning into what it is that you're feeling, but there's allowing yourself to get your feet a little wet, instead of being so focused into the what needs to be done and focused in what it is that is seen. There is an underlying connection and really bringing in the emotional and bringing in the not just emotional but the emotional connection, because when I think of Capricorn, we also think of like, okay, well, does it work? Like all like what matters is, well, is that going to work? Is it going to be sustainable? Is it it's very, very kind of practical in that sort of way. And so yeah, with this King of Cups, I do also feel there's with all of these cards really, I feel like there's this moving away a little bit from the logical side of things to really bring forward the emotional, the things that don't necessarily make sense, for us to be able to be more in tune with this whole experience. Because, yeah, there's a lot of focus on, again, the physical and the material and thinking that that's all that matters without being too punny about it. That no pun intended. But yeah, for Capricorn, I definitely am feeling there's a coming into like the crone energy. For those that know about the like I forget what the phrase is. There's like maiden, mother, crone, I believe it is. And so yeah, I definitely feel there's this sort of crone sort of energy of coming into a emotional maturity and compassion, again, not just for yourself but for other people. All right, so I did Cap. All right, Aquarius, for you, the message that you most need to receive at this time. Oh. Well, this card just flipped up, and it is Page of Cups for you, Aquarius. Ooh, okay. And with bottom of the deck, I have the Hermit card. So, I definitely am feeling this as the fact that we have had this Mars and, the Black Moon Lilith energy both there right at the South Node energy. I feel there has been this bringing into, bringing up, not just bringing up the old or the parts of us, the karmic parts of us, that we maybe are wanting to release, but I feel like there is a rebirth of that inner divine power. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel oh wow, okay, give me a moment. So yeah, I just pulled the bottom three cards from the bottom of the deck, um just 'cause I was looking for a little bit of clarification, and I got the Hermit, I got Judgment, and I got the Hierophant. Again, with this Page of Cups as the signifier, the main focus here. So I feel, again, as I've been mentioning with everyone else, and also notice this is happening a lot with the fixed signs of there's this very like volcanic type of energy that I feel of things having to create some sort of not just friction but some sort of like elemental combustion to create something new. I feel especially here with Aquarius there's this like yeah, I really am seeing this as like the inner, like the light body really almost like coming from the inside out. The way I'm looking at these cards, the way I'm seeing is really like the inner light, the inner knowing is like shining through the cracks, like I'm just getting a visual of like like just like an egg, I guess, like in this picture. And I'm just thinking like a light coming from within, bursting through like the cracks within the egg, or coming through the little cracks. That's the way I'm seeing it. It's really like an implosion taking place here for you, Aquarius. That really creates a birth of, again, not just like this new divine self, because I feel like, again, this is tied very much to this Uranian energy for you, but I feel like this is also coming into this new even creative self, new connection even to love, but again, new creative feel, a new connection to your emotions, and really, yeah, just I really wanted to find the words. I really do feel like this is like this full moon, like really. I said for a few of the other signs like a phoenix rising, but I feel like this is for you, Aquarius, more like this. It's rising, but it's like it's an implosion. It's really happening, and it's like the shedding is taking place, and it's like coming out like a flower does, the way that it blooms, and the outside petals or whatever kind of have to fall away to the, underneath the flower. I'm hoping my visual is making some sense, because that's just the way I'm seeing this. Is like there's this very deep implosion that takes place here, transforming from the inside out, transforming. Um, Even when I see this Hierophant here, I'm even feeling this is like within your physical body. Maybe you're even feeling like your body is going through a lot of like physical changes, or sort of like physical, I don't want to say ailments, but maybe feeling some sort of symptoms, or things have come up to where you're feeling even your body's going through some sort of like shifts or something like that. I really feel like you're feeling this within your physical, and it's not just an emotional or like an internal psychological phase that's taking place for you, but I feel this is really being felt even within like your vessel. But all that to say that, you're really birthing not just a new sense of yourself, but really coming into what I feel is a new part of your story, really being able to feel into your story from a new perspective. Almost being able to even fall in love with your story all over again in a different way. Alright, so Pisces, last one. Last but never least. Alright. Ooh, and so we have here, had it in reverse, this Four of Swords for Pisces. Oh, and then again, bottom of the, and so I feel here, I feel like Pisces, you've been not just thinking a while, which I mean, I guess Four of Swords, talks about this meditation, or being in this very deep, in the very mental, just being very focused and piercing with what it is you're trying to conceive and what it is you're trying to think about. Even just mulling over the different thoughts, the different beliefs, because the way I'm seeing this Hierophant card here. Oh, and then even underneath that, I have this Seven of Coins. So I feel like there's definitely being in the space of really mulling over your truths, your values, really mulling over what it is that you've essentially kind of built your beliefs, what you've built your morals on. Really taking a deeper look at that. Maybe seeing that, one or two things that you've held on to as truths, or maybe have even been told, is not necessarily true for you. Or not just true, but you're finding that it's it's not just about, someone lied to me, or really I'm feeling this more of really re-examining your beliefs, your dogma, your essentially like your own personal law book, if you will. Like we all have our own, essentially like our own rule books for how we wish to engage with other people, what it is that we're willing to do, what it is we're never willing to do, things of that nature. And I feel like we're really not just acknowledging them, but you're really moving out of the space of looking at what it is that you value and really moving into a space of actually creating some sort of change, of really being like, all right, I figured out what it was that was not belonging here, and really being able to not just release it, but again, as I mentioned before, conscious awareness is a strong thing. And so I feel here there's this acknowledgement of what it is that is no longer serving you, and as almost as simple as you knowing that it doesn't serve and you've coming to that point of realization. It's like poof, it's done. Like that's all the work that it takes for it to just be like, all right, it doesn't serve, and I see the truth for that. I acknowledge how that does not play into my values, and all right, I'm cutting it off, or not necessarily cutting it off, but it's dissolving and moving, from that part of yourself, or from what it is that you create or believe for yourself. Yeah, I definitely feel that there. So I think that is pretty much it. Let me put on my janky glasses again. So before I close this off with a simple, it'll just be like a 5-10 minute meditation. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in, and just being here as I grow. Because again, I just started this channel earlier this year, and I'm really just learning what it is that I want to provide, or what it is that I can do, I guess. Because I feel like I guess I'm much better at the collective, or really the psychological things, as opposed to really, I guess, discussing um, the very physical, how it's going to look to you. I guess the perspective I tend to come from is, the underlying, seeing the grander or the bigger picture of things. And so I guess I hope that that's what my channel, or I guess the content that I put out, supports or encourages. So as usual, I'll go ahead and I will get a little candle that we can focus on, for a point of focus for this meditation. So let me get up. All right. Get a candle for us here. Here we go. Maybe should have pulled this out a little bit earlier, but that is all right. All right, let me get a candle lighter. All right, so see if I can set this up a little bit better. All right. All right. So I'm not sure if many of you or any of you are familiar with this sort of meditation, but I'm not really following any sort of like formal guidelines or instructions that someone else has created for this. So if this seems like it's not necessarily in line with what maybe you see online, it's because it's not. So Yeah, so just find a comfortable place. You can sit or you can lie down, really what is most comfortable for you so that you're able to settle into the meditation. And as you do settle in, just bring your focus to your breath. Allow your breath to, come naturally, just bringing your focus to your breath. You can close your eyes, or if you prefer not to close your eyes, you can again bring your focus to the flame as your point of focus. So whether you are focusing on the flame or you have your eyes closed, you can begin to envision that you are in sort of like a golden bubble, if you will, which acts not necessarily just as protection, but really creates a space for us to do this work in. So just imagine yourself in a golden bubble, or really just in grand, very bright light. Now, when you find yourself comfortably within the bubble or the golden light, we can begin to breathe in the violet flame. And so from here, you can begin to envision, whether you're looking at the flame directly, you can envision it as purple, or within your mind's eye, you can imagine a flame within you, or like in front of your face, or you can imagine that golden, ball of light beginning to turn into a violet purple color. We want to recognize and acknowledge that this purple frequency is of transmutation, of forgiveness, of higher love and illumination. And before we begin to breathe in and commence this meditation, I like to first begin with allowing and calling in the highest vibrations of unconditional love in all dimensions of time and space for the highest good of all involved, known and unknown. I ask in place for all of those involved that whatever most is relevant that needs to be seen for us at this time be revealed in divine time. We also ask for assistance in being able to observe the truth. We also ask that in our moments of confusion or distress or irritation, we ask for patience and understanding and being able to embody this energy and being able to hold this space for transformation and transmutation in all times, in place, in space. Now with that said, we can begin breathing in the violet flame. So you can do this just as you will imagine breathing in a purple air or purple wind, purple energy. And as you breathe it in, hold the breath a little bit. And as you're holding it, imagine that purple light and energy and frequency being radiated throughout your body with every breath. So for an example, you can breathe in, hold, and consciously be aware and allow the energy to move to all parts of your body. And then as you exhale, imagine that exhale as an acceleration of that energy spreading through your body. As you feel your body being filled with the purple light, you can also begin to feel it exude through your body so that you may feel yourself within a purple fire. As we allow this flame to burn away not just insecurities, but the shells and inability to open ourselves up to what is being shown to us. Through this burning away of our insecurities, we also create space to not know. We create space to acknowledge that which we don't know so that we're able to receive understanding. Understanding for that which we do not yet understand. And with this meditation and ceremony, we acknowledge and accept that that which we don't understand will be shown to us in divine time. right, and so as I get ready to round up this meditation and live, I just want to thank you guys all again for being here and engaging and participating in this live with me. And especially with this meditation, even if you don't feel any sort of physical sensations, I hope that this meditation at the very least left you with a feeling or emotion of peace or tranquility. Again, to allow ourselves to be to be shown what needs to be seen, to be told what needs to be told, allowing ourselves to create space and developing trust with our higher dimensional self, our guides, our angels, whatever, again, whatever names or belief systems or whatnot resonates with you. And also helping to build a comfort in not knowing. And especially just as we've been in the shadow period, I feel like that a healthy level of acceptance of not knowing some things is necessary and very helpful. And as we move into Scorpio season, I find it maybe even more so important for us to practice and accept. So I'll go ahead, turn the light on. Alright, as we come out of the meditation, and again, as I come to completing the live, there we go. That'll have to do. There we go. That'll have to do. But yes, thank you so much again for engaging with me in this live. And again, I've just been starting to really figure out how I want to work with these lives and as well as my channel. So I'm appreciative for you guys supporting and encouraging me and just being here and holding this space for me to learn and grow with you guys too and connect with you guys. So what I do want to do though, because I feel that I can talk on many things, or not even talk on many things, but I could talk forever. But I really am wanting to know more of what it is that other people are wanting to know about, or like what it is that other people are having questions about. When it doesn't even necessarily have to do with astrology. It could just be with anything having to do with the phases that we're going through, or just really anything. Really wanting to know what it is that people are seeking guidance or really seeking more answers on, because I know that, at least in my own trying to find more answers, is that, or not even more answers, is that a lot of the answers that we can receive can either feel like not resonant with us, or it can feel like really half of the story, or it can feel just very like speaking from one perspective. And I guess I feel I can come from it more from a universal type of standpoint. So if you do have any sort of questions, you can go ahead and even ask them like in the chat, or if you want to message them to me on Instagram or email me or whatever it is, or just whatever. If you have any sort of thing you want to talk about, or even if you don't have a question, like I'm here to talk if you need someone to speak with, because I know that just going through any sort of like transformational, very psychologically triggering times, it feels very hard to not feel understood. So I just want to be able to, put forward that connection for those that are seeking that sort of connection with someone. So yeah, I guess without further ado, I think that's really it. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I feel honored to be able to hold this space and just for y'all to pay attention. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here. And again, I hope that this left you with some sort of clarity or insight. I actually do have notes and things I want to talk about the full moon and I will try and get a video put out about that tomorrow, if not the next day. But I really want to get that put out. So I definitely have some content in the works and just a lot of stuff in the works. So if I'm not super active on any of my sort of social medias, just know I'm definitely just I'm working on stuff. So yeah, just stay tuned. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. And yeah, until next time, y'all. Bye. And I will talk to you guys hopefully very soon. As usual, you can find me on Instagram, and you can also contact me at my website at gladiatorandsweats.com. Hopefully, all of this information, I'll go ahead and put that in the description box as I end this. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And I really, truly do love y'all so much and hope the best for everyone. And just knowing that we are all here, we're all needed, we all have something that we're able to put in, we all have something that we're working through for the collective as a whole. So um, just know that, like, you don't have to be doing anything crazy. There's nothing necessarily to even really be doing in this time, but really honestly bringing our focus to ourselves, seeing what it is that we can do to embody this love that we wish to receive from other people. So that's really the ultimate underlying message that I wish to put out. So yeah, I guess I will see y'all. See y'all tomorrow, if not the next day. So take care, y'all. Much love. Bye. Let's go ahead and end this.